Beautiful morning, everyone. This is Midnight Brands coming to you with prep on May 11th, 2023. It's a little bit before 6:15, so a little bit ahead of our scheduled start time. Going to go ahead and get started here early just to go ahead and get into things. I already had the nice, lovely BOE decision here this morning, and ES and NQ are fading off a little bit off of that, but that's all right. We're gonna just go ahead and get started and dive right into it. As noted, we already had that one little piece of econ, and the bigger piece coming up here this morning is going to be all around PPI at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. We'll jump right in. Not a whole lot really to cover off on SVXY. Really clean. Just expanded really off this upper zone here to include monthly trend guide reversal, so pretty clean on that one. Not really a whole lot else, I guess, to say off of this one, other than I guess just to be clear, we did add the AR1 structure piece down here. You know, ADRs have been really small. They've only been, we're talking maybe $2 at most. So, if something does decide to pop one way or the other, that would not rule this AR1 stuff out of play. Right now, we're at 68.41, so full ADRs would potentially even come back down this way here too. So not that far, $2 type of thing. So in any event, that's SVXY, pretty clean, pretty clear. VIX. Where's VIX at? Presently 1705, so popping just a little bit above. It's really coming up into that trend strength reference point monthly pivot. We'll start up at the highs though, like 50 days. We can see just on the daily here, it's continued to give us some grief. Every time we've come up and tested, we just had that one day that we closed above, but it's just continued to pop up, fade, and so that's today's div up there. Underneath that, we have monthly trend guide, photo ADRs. Could have taken it down to include the supply and demand. Didn't. It felt a little bit more natural with just the way the 50-day and the full ADRs are. So left that there, but did add this gap fill structure area here, just with kind of how we had the two bar open close type of thing here, so the bodies just kind of made a little bit more sense to me on that one. It is super close though to this WPP trend guide, as well as the 20-day and the tier 1 daily cheat. So I don't know how I'd put a ton of weight on this really. If maybe just a quick little div, go up, gather the gap fill, and then fade back down. Or just shoot all the way right through. It depends upon really, I think, what happens out of PPI. Although again, like ES is fading a decent bit here off of that BOE news. It's already down to 41.50 from the almost 70s. It was up at like 41.67 and stuff here. So sadly missed taking any, but it's all right. We're getting ourselves ready by prepping for the day. In any event, trend strength we talked about, then you had trend guide reversal, and then the last one was 52-week lows, photo ADRs, May's lows, like all really the same stuff right there on that one. Full ADRs obviously are going to be lower. If we do gap, then obviously that's going to be pushing up. And VIX has already jumped here with the way that ES and NQ are falling. It's already jumped another 15-20 cents there. So moving on, SPY, pretty straightforward. We did add a couple of pieces and marked off, kind of calling out some of this stuff as inside zone. So this one here probably looks a little bit odd, but as I was looking at kind of where the volume and stuff was, as well as a bunch of these bodies and these wicks, I mean, there's a ton of volume right up here at in this area here. So added that as a div and structure. Underneath, we have our trend strength reference point, monthly pivot point, and certainly some structure in and around this 412. Underneath, you have weekly pivot, combo point and control stuff. Again, go back and check out our Midnight Brands Twitter feed. A couple of Saturdays ago, we talked about how we were working on doing some combination of normalizing of various time period volume profiles. So that is that combo one, which also has got a swing AV WAP coming up from the May 4th low there at 11:30 in the morning. Underneath there next, you've got trend guide, combo high volume node, and your tier 1 daily cheat. It also has, we dragged it down a bit there to grab the wick from just yesterday. And where SPY has come down to 412.73, so it's coming into this trend strength. ES has pushed through its monthly pivot. Sorry. Thinking about something from another place. Anywho, underneath, pretty clear, monthly trend guide, gap fill. You know, obviously you've had some interactions off of it here, so shot right through, test, so this may not bode well if it comes back here and tests that third time. Although I guess you've got this failure here, so maybe it's come back and retest and validate it on that one. That would definitely break a bunch of folks' hearts, thinking that this 409-ish level yesterday was it for the downside, but now we'll just have to wait and watch. Lower, we've got our nice little div here, 50-day EMA, combo high volume node, tier 2 daily cheats, and let's see. Yeah, the daily anchor VWAP is much lower. So in fact, that's why we've got that marked off there. So underneath that, we added this supply demand weekly trend guide, combo high volume node, tier 1 weekly cheats, gap fill. The if I remember, this actual daily anchor VWAP is going to be right here in this zone here, because it was 403, 404. So actually, there it's 404.55. I think is what we marked off yesterday. We were doing this, so it's actually sandwiched kind of right between the two there. If we do end up fading all the way back down here, then this weekly photo could come into play. The weekly photo, for those that haven't heard or seen this, I've done this stuff before. The weekly photo ADRs and weekly full ADRs are just the same way that we think of for the regular photos. It's just looking at what is the 1, 2, and 4 week ADRs been for the entire week, and rolling them up and doing the same kind of thing. So anyway, that is SPY. Let's move on to the Qs. So Qs, really simple. We did add this one little piece here, I think. Yeah, this was not there, and there's just, again, a whole bunch of volume and stuff here. It's also, so you get supply demand high, swing anchor VWAP, trend strength reference point. And right now the Qs are trading 325.30, so they have not given up as much as SPY has in ES there. It's really surprising that it's moving off of that. It's holding the quarter basis point. You must have had some other language in that release. Okay, so we'll just look up here. I don't think there's really a whole lot to cover off and say on this one. It's all really kind of straightforward levels. Will note though, actually, is this one here. We did change from a div to a zone to include monthly pivot point, and it is the look. So this has got the 20-day EMA. If we zoom in over here, you can see that 20-day and the daily anchor VWAP are just marching along together, lockstep. The other piece is noted it's very steep. It's probably 50, 60 degree angle. That's a pretty steep trend channel there. But you've got this trend channel there. That would also be about the lower edge of the trend channel here at this monthly pivot point, 20-day daily anchor VWAP, combo high volume node. So that would be an interesting one. In any event, moving on to ES. Sorry, I forgot to take off the volume profile stuff when I grabbed this screenshot last night. Those are weekly profiles. So it's aggregating up all the stuff and looking at it from a weekly basis. Let's see where it stopped. That's funny and eerie. So we came up and we just ticked for tick. We might even have come up and hit that trend line that I drawn last night, because we digged for ticked this zone here and this pink line here is the weekly IB stat high, and so we just skipped hitting that there overnight. In any event, I'm going to start off here. So we added monthly trend guide reversal, tier 3, daily cheat. There's a naked VA. There's an NVPOC hiding in there, and there is a gap fill in there as well. Underneath that, pretty clean. The rest of these, I don't need to read off all the parts on there. You can read them or pause the video there, but it's pretty clean for just about all these levels. I will note this one here, I did expand to be a bit wider, and that was because I wanted to include this weekly IB stat high, really this just high here from earlier in May. The trend guide one, it dragged down. You know, there's definitely the tier 1 daily cheat there, but I felt it was more important to capture some of the highs and stuff here from yesterday and whatnot, and grab that weekly IB stat high. Sorry. What else do we hit? We marked the monthly pivot as an inside zone, which we just sliced through and are coming into a swing anchor VWAP from May 10th at 12:40 Central. So we're really kind of in no man's land. I did not care about the trend strength reference point. It's there. It was pretty damn near much the point of control yesterday, so it does give some credence to that one, but was personally putting a bit more weight on kind of where we had been sitting at for the overall week, lower at the weekly pivot, common point of control, and just again kind of seeing like where this stuff is ending up, low value area, etc. So ignore trend strength. It may bite me, and may actually sit and stop right there on that. It's also yesterday's, like I said, point of control. So maybe we stop and hold here, and just be my bad on worrying about MPP and weekly pivot. Didn't adjust anything in these next two, but did add this zone down here. So tier 1 and a week cheat, trend line, combo high volume node, gap fill, NVPOC, weekly trend guide. And you can see there's definitely a lot of volume interaction here. And then I guess I didn't have this zoomed out as much. In any event, you have your annual pivot, gap fill, NVPOC, quarterly pivot. Yes, that's down a pretty significant amount, but also trying to be prepared for what could come out of stuff with PPI here again later this morning. Nothing of note on the symmetrical extremes. It's really quiet there. Not a whole lot happening in that regard for that one. Just moving on to NQ. First note out the pieces we added here. So we added the weekly IB stat high, weekly trend guide reversal, and yesterday's IB high. So definitely some good stuff there. We poked above really, but we couldn't even get I have to look about 15, but we couldn't even get a 30-minute close above this spot. And so if you remember yesterday, I actually said I don't care about the weekly trend guide reversal. It was all by itself. It wasn't with anything. But today there's enough, there's 3 pieces of evidence there to me that you have yesterday's IB high, you have yesterday's high period, but you also have the weekly IB stat. So to me, that gave me a little bit more reason to say, hey, let's call that up as a separate zone or area to watch. The other one that I wanted to make sure it called out and noted here is, and I don't remember why, probably because they just cheated and didn't recolor it to be inside, but this to me should be inside for sure. Really, you could argue that the daily trend guide actually marked as orange for inside. But in any event, there's tons of interactions here at this spot. I mean, just look at these hourly candles. Like, you know, test, you know, same thing over here. And even looking back at a lot of the volume profile, like there's tons of volume right at about this spot here, which makes sense because it's the combo point of control. So it would be a potential div just underneath this trend guide. You could have actually taken it up, and maybe we do that actually in the prep file that we send out to folks in the room. Is drag this up to include the NVPOC from yesterday. I just don't put as much weight in the NVPOCs from a day ago. You can see here, like this one here, like, I mean, that was the day before's NVPOC, and I mean, just look how we sliced right through it. Like, it's when they get to be a little bit older that they carry more weight, at least with me personally, and what I've seen and how they interact. So, can they absolutely stop on one of those? For sure. Look yesterday at where ES opened, and we pushed down, and we came back up, and we stopped right at where it opened and failed. So, I mean, there's definitely cases where that stuff can and does happen. In any event, just noting a couple other pieces here. I'm sure this swing AV WAP has moved up. I grabbed this last night around 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. If even then, it might have been. No, I think it's around 8 or 9 central. So, in any event, this swing AV WAP is probably coming up to join this combo point of control at div level here. With the way we traded up last night into that one there, like I mentioned. Let's see, what else do we want to mention or should mention in here. This 50-day zone here, the look March 10th daily anchor VWAP and 50-day. That just doesn't feel like it's something that we're going to see today. It's entirely possible we could fade off 400 points. Yesterday we got a little bit out of kind of where we've been, consolidating in terms of ADR. Broke above the 200 spot, not by a ton, but we did finally break above it. So, yeah, maybe we do see a 400 point. Maybe something happens with Apple, and we do see that kind of bigger move, but we'll see. Did note, though, I guess the other one that I will call out is we did add this weekly trend guide. That would be getting outside of full ADRs for sure, but that would be a pretty big one. You can see here the reason kind of why we included it. It was weekly IV stat low the other week. It's also top edge supply and demand, and a weekly trend guide. So I don't think there's anything else to say on those from what we've got in here. I will note, probably if you don't use if you don't load the CML file and stuff that I share in the room, or for those that are looking externally, if you may have noticed, I redid a bunch of my supply and demand zones. Some of the ones that are inside have this more grayish structure. They've just definitely seen some interactions here in the recent months, and felt it was kind of necessary to update and include those, as well as just refine some of the supply and demand as we've chopped more around some of this area here, and even some of this stuff in the recent months. So, in any event, moving on, RTY super clean, nothing to add here other than we called out and noted this 50-day structure one. Pretty straightforward again. Going to move through here. Pause the video if you want to see the details on that one. YM, very similar. Nothing to add of any real big significance other than we popped in this monthly pivot point, supply and demand. Could have dragged it up to include combo high volume node, but just left it as is. Other than that, I don't think we really adjusted much on this one. So we did, although I guess call out combine this div 2 zone 5 area. So got that. Closing off CL and GC. So CL is back to fading now a bit. It's trying to push below that monthly trend guide reversal. It's into that little bucket there. Noted this kind of wedge here on this one going back to the 25th, 26th. Couple of touches. Tried to poke above, but didn't. And so you've got that there on this one that we called out and noted on it. And so with that, kind of split up a couple things. This trend strength reference point monthly trend guide reversal was one big zone, 40-cent zone. We adjusted that and moved the trend strength reference point to be its own with the swing anchored VWAP from April 24th. Also have a naked VA. It is, again, also super small. It's just from the day before, I should say. So don't place as much weight on it. Personally don't. But below that, we separated out and made the monthly trend guide reversal its own zone with that kind of auto supply and demand that is called out on that one. And it hit the bottom edge. Excuse me, it came down and hit the bottom edge of this auto supply and demand to the damn tick. So it is trying to hold in here right now. We'll see what it does. I'd have to put this line on that. This is an hourly candle. I'd have to put this line over there on my 30-minute one. I think it might have even just hit the bottom edge of this wedge here, damn near to the tick as well. In any event, holding that swing anchor VWAP monthly trend guide reversal, have to keep an eye on it. It might be worth a try here, although it looks like it wants to go down and grab this trend guide reversal photo ADRs. Just based upon kind of how it's acting at the moment. We'll note on that one that we did adjust down a bit so we could include the photo ADRs in the Tier 1 daily cheat. This was the OPEX, Tier 1 OPEX cheat, which is right there. Don't really place as much weight in it now because we've just shot right through it. But the goal is, for market makers to keep it closed above there. So have to watch and see. Did adjust this one here. It was this zone here. You can see we actually just completely threw it away, basically, I should say. Yeah, we just basically threw this whole one away and adjusted it to capture the weekly pivot and daily anchor VWAP. So it's really more close to this one here. Photo ADRs obviously moved up as we moved up last night. And this now includes full ADRs at the 70.08 and 69.87 area. And then you have your gap fill from way back when. We didn't even touch on these days here. We flew all the way through it. So much older gap fill at that 70 spot level. I am not even sure candidly where that one comes from. But it is, it's got to be pretty old since we didn't touch any of the stuff here in that area. I think that's it for CL. I don't have anything else on it. GC was really pretty straightforward. Did add though, and just keeping an eye out. Like we're way up here, so do we have something here that comes soon that breaks that camel's back? And takes us all the way back down and does a reset. Like we have not really done, in my mind, any kind of a true reset to this 50-day since this big push back up in March. We've definitely reset on the 20-day. We've come back down. You can see even just here this past week, we came down and touched the 20. We just haven't been getting the same pushes like we had before on the 20. So to just set us up so we do go down and grab that the look set up there on the 50-day this time around. And just looking here, there's nothing else that I see that makes me go, oh yeah, this is a major adjustment or anything else. Although We don't have a double supply and demand high there. That was a accidentally drew a supply and demand on top of another one and didn't realize it just based upon being in different workspaces. So that 2006 level is not a zone. It is just not. We did drag down though this monthly pivot one, so you could argue sure it is there midnight brain. So anywho, that is that one, and actually this one here includes an NVPOC really at that same spot as the combo high volume node, and that looks like it's a couple of days old actually. So that looks like it comes from back here on May 5th. So, in anywho, that is it. I didn't see any questions pop in here today, so hopefully everybody has a great one. You know, just like CPI, PPI can at times be pretty violent, especially with all the sensitivity to where things are at right now. So, you know, don't hesitate to size down. If you're going normally 3 or 4 contracts, well, go 2. And yes, it does suck, and it makes it a lot more difficult from a scaling perspective. But take the chunks. Take what you get. No need to be trying to swing for, you know, 50, 100 points on MQ, you know, 10, 15, 20 on ES. You know, get 5, take some off. Just play it, take what the market gives you. So that is it. Hope everybody has a great one, and we will catch y'all later.